Hello, this is Watch Out for Cows in the Ochoco, Forest Collaboratives and Pressure from Rapid Growth in Prineville, Oregon, Part 1. This presentation is the first of a two-part series. Here is a quick run-through of how this presentation will be organized today. I will be introducing the term heritage economy and giving background on the case study location. Then we'll examine the research objectives, how we did it, and what we found. Lastly, I will leave you with a few takeaways from today's presentation. Communities with a significant amount of public land, such as Prineville, economies and identities have been built on land-based industries such as forestry, ranching, and mining, many of which have used or extracted natural resources on public lands. We call these relationships to founding industries heritage economies. We selected these regions as an example of communities that have maintained heritage economies as a vital component of their economy while undergoing significant economic and social change. Here's a map of our study county and its town, Prineville. Here are some insights from residents about the changes that they've seen in their community and a timeline that offers insight regarding the social stressors occurring due to socioeconomic change, evolving community identity, and federal agency town engagement. These social stressors include the lasting effects of the Northwest Forest Plan, the East Side Screens, a Facebook and Apple data center, and the extreme population growth of Deschutes County. The research objectives for this presentation are to examine two examples of heritage economies and to analyze how these economies are surviving in this place. Our case studies are Prineville, Oregon, and Susanville, California. Today, I will be talking about Prineville, then my research partner, Sherilyn Ashmead, will be presenting on Susanville later today. My research partner and I interviewed 45 community members connected to Crook County's ranching and forestry industries. On average, the interviews were 60 to 90 minutes in length. Interviewees were selected as key stakeholders of the community from, but not limited to, land management agencies, county employees, ranchers, and range managers, local industry professionals, club and organization leaders. To better understand how heritage economies are faring in Prineville, we asked interviewees to identify threats to the timber and ranching industries. The following are reported as the primary threats to the ranching and timber industry in Prineville. Population growth was seen as a struggle on both natural resources for residential use and public lands. The threat posed by the population change is an indirect result of an overall growth of surrounding counties in Central Oregon. Neighboring Deschutes County, home to Bend, is the fifth fastest growing mid-sized city over the past 5 years. As Bend grows, residents are making their way to less populated areas such as Prineville because of its land availability and more affordable housing. However, according to participants, this population growth is putting pressure on private landscapes and natural resource availability. Additionally, as new residents are moving to Prineville, participants report that there are differing perceptions of public land use, putting heritage economies such as ranching and timber at risk. Interviewees identified economic change as a threat to heritage economies. Although the data centers have brought significant economic stability and good jobs to the county, the shift from a primarily timber economy to a tech economy is hard for some residents to accept. Participants stated that some residents felt like these changes are going too fast for the community to keep up with. Others worry that there is too much reliance on the tech industry and not enough on natural resources. Participants felt like there was a loss of institutional support, specifically in the university extension. They stated that they felt like there are not as many opportunities for young people in timber and range, or as many extension agents as there once used to be. Then similarly, sadly, as many communities of the West have undergone threats and wildfires and drought, Prineville has had these things happen within the past as well, and currently. Regulations that limit where timber and ranching industries operate put pressure on their heritage economies. Participants felt that maintaining working landscapes and the regulations that are in place to protect species and wildlife are sometimes incompatible and could be adjusted with more collaboration. Lastly, a threat identified by participants is the lack of workforce for timber and ranching. They say that there is not as many opportunities for training in these areas for the next generation to take over. In this section, I will be discussing how Prineville plans to address these threats. In the left-hand diagram is how different agencies and organizations are interacting with heritage economies, and to the right, in the encompassing circle, the Ochoco Forest Collaborative, and then the County Natural Resources Committee, and all the different organizations that are working together to address these threats. Interviewees perceive these areas as the main way that communities are contributing to creating resilient heritage economies. Local government, private industrial, non-industrial forests, multi-stakeholder collaboratives, public land partnerships, nonprofits, and relationships with ranchers. In Prineville, forestry was dependent on public land harvest more than private industrial or non-industrial forests, and the ranching industry is private but depends on the public lands for grazing permits. As you can see, the main organizations accompanying these partners are the County of Natural Resource Committee and the Ochoco Forest Collaborative. I will briefly describe these relationships between heritage economies and these organizations. Timber and ranching industries interact with the Natural Resource Conservation Service through programs that provide grants to aid in collaboration between both private and public landscapes. NRCS offers partnership with private woodlands, ranchers, and farmers to promote stewardship on working landscapes and conservation planning. University Extension is an equally crucial partnership for connecting communities, especially youth, to agriculture. The timber industry is dependent on the Forest Service because of its allotted public land harvest, and ranchers are dependent on grazing permits allotted by both the Bureau of Land Management and the Forest Service. These relationships are particularly important because this is who ranchers and timber industry representatives are directly collaborating with on the ground. Crook County and the City of Prineville work closely together with the Regional Economic Development Group, EDCO. The County of Natural Resources Committee also brings together the Central Oregon Trail Alliance, COTA, public land agencies, and industry representatives. Crook County instituted this County Natural Resource Committee in order to engage multi-stakeholder collaboration at the county level for natural resource management and to maintain local heritage economies such as ranching and timber. Then, lastly, the Ochoco Collaborative brings everything together. In this section, I describe opportunities that participants identified as ways to maintain heritage economies in Prineville. Opportunities identified within the timber industry are biofuels, renewable energy, and manufacturing. Opportunities in the ranching industry include branded beef cooperatives and agro-tourism in the area. An opportunity suggested by participants is either the creation of a land trust in Prineville or better collaboration and education within the existing area land trust, Oregon Desert Land Trust. Additionally, a recurring priority when discussing opportunities for heritage economies is a collaboration to restore the health of the Ochoco forest while including divergent interests such as fire management, recreation, grazing, and timber. This is directly connected to the creation of the Ochoco Collaborative and the Natural Resources Committee, and these opportunities should be further sought out. Participants identified the creation of a mill that supports public forest needs, creates local jobs, and brings together public land agency representatives to also put on community events such as farmer and local markets that highlight local livestock products. This opportunity pushes for the continuation and growth of grassroots collaborative groups such as the Ochoco Collaborative and the Ochoco Trail Alliance to ensure the balance of public land use and including the community. University Extension plays a huge part in this opportunity for the next generation. For both timber and ranching, there is an opportunity to include those that have not historically been involved in the agricultural community. As we discussed, there are new families moving to the area that do not have those same ties to heritage economies. Many participants identified value in creating connections with people who do not have strong ties to heritage economies to better illustrate the cultural, ecological, and economic importance of working lands. Lastly, residents suggested that processing for both timber and livestock are opportunities to look to into the area. Localized processing would aid in subsidizing transportation costs, create jobs in the area, and strengthen ties between the agricultural community and the county. Rural communities engaging with heritage economies are contributing to the health of working landscapes, adapting to natural resource challenges, and incorporating working lands into planning and community development. As rural landscapes are changing, maintaining connection to heritage economies can aid in creating and maintaining social capital to strengthen relationships between local government, public land agencies, and residents within the American rural West. Incorporating heritage economies into stewardship objectives and taking the time to build a connection to not only each other but the broader community helps to create collaborative working relationships to plan resource use accordingly and be on the same page about management goals. Lastly, as more rural communities are undergoing cultural and economic change, there's a change in how residents see heritage economies and working landscapes. Emphasizing community identity linked to ranching and timber in Cook County helped to create connections with residents that did not have strong ties to heritage economies and emphasize the benefits of working landscapes. For a closer look at heritage economies, attend Imprisoned in Path Dependencies, Anticipating What is Next in Susanville, California by my colleague Sherilyn Ashmead. We want to extend a special thanks to all of the people that shared their stories, gave us their time, and for their hard work they are doing. We truly appreciate you. Thank you.